The sun had begun to settle on the horizon, its soft golden rays spilling gently into the small, humble home. Dust particles floated in the warm air, catching the light like tiny fireflies. The smell of freshly cooked bread and simmering curry filled the room, simple food, made with care, seasoned not just with spices, but with love. At the center of that quiet home sat an old man, his hands trembling slightly, his eyes reflecting both age and wisdom. His shawl was old, worn thin by time, but his heart still carried warmth. He looked toward the small wooden door, waiting, not impatiently, but with the soft patience of one who knows that kindness always finds its way back. Moments later, the door creaked open. A young woman stepped in, her steps quiet, her presence calm, the kind of calm that brings peace into a place. In her hands, she carried a small clay pot, steam rising from its mouth. The aroma followed her like a silent blessing. She walked slowly, respectfully, towards the old man. "Father," she said softly, "I've brought your meal." Her voice was tender, not merely a daughter's, but that of a soul who understood the sacredness of serving. She placed the tray gently before him. The low table was simple. A bowl of rice, a pot of curry, a stack of flatbread wrapped in cloth. Yet somehow, it looked like a royal feast. Because love turns simplicity into grace. The old man smiled faintly, his eyes moist with emotion. "You never forget," he murmured. "How could I?" she replied, her voice a whisper. "You never forgot me, not even once." There was silence after that, not empty silence, but one filled with memory. The room seemed to breathe with them. Every shadow on the wall held a story, of struggle, of love, of all the days when life was not easy but always meaningful. As he began to eat, she poured water into a small metal cup and placed it beside him. The sound of the cup touching the table was like a small prayer, quiet, yet powerful. She sat beside him, not speaking, just watching, ensuring every bite was easy for him. It wasn't just food, it was devotion. And in that small act, that ordinary act, the extraordinary truth of humanity shone bright. That the world does not change with grand gestures. It changes with kindness, one small act at a time. The woman's mind drifted back to her childhood. She remembered sitting by the same man, when her hands were small, and her heart even smaller. He had fed her with the same patience, the same care. Now the years had turned, the seasons had changed, and the same hands that once fed her trembled before her. But that is how life works, the circle completes itself. She looked at him, and in that glance there was everything, gratitude, love, sorrow, and peace. The man paused between bites, looking at her face, seeing not the child he once carried, but the strength she had become. "You've grown into light," he whispered. "And you," she said, "are the reason I still believe in goodness." Outside, the wind stirred the trees. The sun faded further, leaving a warm amber glow that wrapped the room in gold. The air was still, sacred, and alive with feeling. It was more than a meal, it was a moment that carried generations of love, of teaching, of the silent understanding between hearts that had lived through much and still chose kindness. She took his hand, helping him steady the bowl. He looked at her and smiled again, this time a deeper smile, one that said everything without a word. A smile that meant, "You did well, you understood life." She looked down, shyly smiling back. "Eat well," she whispered, "you've done enough for a lifetime." He nodded slowly, the light flickering in his tired eyes. "And now it's your turn," he said. "To keep giving." She lowered her eyes. "I will." Time seemed to slow, as though the universe itself wanted to hold this moment forever. The kind of moment that reminds the heart of what really matters, not the noise of the world, not the rush of success, but this, quiet love, shared humanity, the peace of doing good without being seen. Outside, a distant sound, perhaps a child laughing, perhaps a bird calling, floated into the room. It blended with the soft clinking of the spoon against the bowl, forming a rhythm as natural as breathing. The woman stood up and adjusted the curtain, letting in a little more of the dying light. The shadows shifted, and for a second, everything looked like a painting, still, golden, eternal. She watched him eat slowly, each bite careful, deliberate. Her hands folded before her, her face calm. There was no hurry, no distraction, only presence. The kind of presence that makes love real. When he finished, she collected the empty plates, wiping the table gently with a cloth. He leaned back, sighing softly, as if releasing all the burdens of the years in one breath. "Thank you," he said quietly. She turned, smiled, and answered, "Thank you for teaching me what love means." And in that exchange, simple, quiet, human, the world became beautiful again. Because somewhere in that little home, far from the noise and pride of the world, two souls had reminded the universe of its oldest truth. That to care is to live. That to serve is to love. That to love, even in silence, is to pray.